What is going on YouTube? Japan Man here, and today I figured we start off with a bang. Today I'm going to talk to you about booking a flight to Japan. And this is the number one subject that comes up whenever I talk about my experiences traveling to Japan, and when I bring up the subject of actually traveling in general and I tell them, hey, I've been to Japan and I go every year now. People assume two things. One, I have a lot of money, which is not the case, and two, that I've spent a lot of money on the flight alone to go to Japan. And today I'm going to absolutely crush that assumption. I'm going to show you guys my tips and tricks that I have used to actually get cheap flights to go to Japan. Now I'm going to put two of my previous tickets up on the screen here so you can just see in general that I'm not BSing you in any way at all. In 2016, I spent a really cheap amount to actually go to Japan. I spent, I think, under $900. And then I think in 2017, I spent a little over $900 with the taxes and fees included. But they're up on the screen there so you guys can kind of check those out. So, yes, you can go to Japan, and it can be really, really affordable. It can be pretty cheap as far as flights go. But there's a couple things you need to keep in mind. And that is to be open on availability. That is to not have anyone else hold you back. So when I travel to Japan, I actually travel alone. If there's other people that I meet along the way that happen to be going at the same time, then that's great. But if not, at the end of the day, I want to go to Japan and no one's going to stop me. So don't let anyone else get in your way of you wanting to actually go to this amazing country. So without further ado, let's just discuss a little bit about some of the tools I've used actually when it comes to booking flights. And one of the big tools I've actually grown to like, actually a lot more recently, is actually Google Flights. It's changed a lot since the last time I've used it, or last year and the year before. And I believe this actual layout and stuff that I'm showing up on screen, this was in beta not that long ago, and I believe it's out beta now. So we can see here, Chicago, we have O'Hare and Midway airports, and we want to go to Tokyo, Haneda, and Narita. These are the dates I'm actually going this year, so we'll use Thursday, August 9th and Thursday, August 23rd. And as you can see down below, we can see this price graph here. It's actually really handy because you can see a breakdown based on day, and you can see these dots at the bottom here that show this is the span of time that you're going to be in the away from your country, and this is the span of your trip. So if I move along the timeline, we can see new dots moving across the screen with us. So if I wanted to actually change the day to right here, Monday, September 3rd, we can see it actually drops down quite significantly to $1,360. And we scroll down, we can actually see the departing flights and the best deals. So one other thing I wanted to note too, when I booked my previous flights to Japan, I've only flown nonstop, actually going there and back. I've never actually had to take a stop somewhere else. So spending under $1,000, that can be pretty tricky. Right now, this is kind of a good deal. It's a little bit under the average. Actually, if you come to the tips up here, it will even tell you it's $246 less than usual. So it's typically about $1,500 on average for the beginning of September to mid-September for flights to Japan. So it's a somewhat okay deal, but we want to get the best deal. We want to make this under $1,000, and there's a couple ways that you can do that. Obviously, if we don't want to fly nonstop, we can actually make it quite a bit cheaper immediately by taking one stop or fewer here. And we can see the dates once again. So we can see, let's find the cheapest one. 712, okay, 708. Here we go. 708, October 23rd through Tuesday, November 6th. So let's see what's going on here. So this is the really poopy thing about actually traveling with a stop in your itinerary, is the layovers for some reason are really, really stupid sometimes. I've seen them go from 12 hours to over 24 hours for a layover. So whenever you see a cheap flight, don't get all excited and be like, oh my God, $708, it's an amazing deal, because you're going to be stuck at LAX for 12 hours during this whole ordeal. And let's actually kind of climb down a little bit further, and we can see 36 minutes, I'm sorry. Some of these can get pretty lengthy. So we have to be really, really careful when we're gonna book with one stop or fewer. And I think on Google Flights, it actually doesn't have any really great tools for actually eliminating the amount of time, except for this one. So we can see if we want it to be under 23 hours, so we can see the flights that would take us to this price range. So 972. Oh, we had an 800 in here, 877. So Google Flights is a pretty decent tool to actually get you around and seeing prices. And we can actually be fluctuating on dates and stuff. Like if I wanted to stay one extra day, how much would it cost extra? It'd be $910 instead of 877. You know, we can really break it down by this price graph as well. So Google Flights is actually a really nice tool. It's changed a lot over the years, and you can get pretty in depth with it. Although I will say a couple things about this. The website can be kind of janky. Like when I go click on these days, sometimes I have to like click it like 40 times for this to load. I don't know how accurate this tips guide is over here. I would assume it's comparing it to like last year or the past couple years, but I'm actually not 100% sure where they're pulling this information from under tips. So with that said, also this actually is not always the cheapest way about going and booking a flight. So let's go back to our original dates here, which was nonstop only, and we're going to go to, okay, that's really far back. We don't want to go this far back. We want to go back to August 9th, and we want to go to August 23rd. So let's pull up our original dates again. So $1,905. I have went and booked on Kayak actually before. The first year I went to Japan, I booked through Kayak, which brought me to the website Just Fly, I believe was the website name, and I got a really cheap flight that way. But if we go on to Kayak, you can actually see this Japan Airlines flight is $1,815, and on Google Flights it's $1,906. So one thing to keep in mind when you're booking and actually looking at flights, even when it's really cheap on Google Flights, like let's say that one day I log into Google Flights and the flight is actually like $1,000 or less, I still am going to want to check multiple websites and not book immediately, just because sometimes it gets even cheaper than what Google Flights might show, or maybe it might be cheaper on Google than it is on Kayak. So we want to check multiple websites when it comes to actually booking our flight. And again, Kayak is a pretty decent website, and it does have like a track pricing thing here on the side. I don't know why I highlighted this whole page. And it even gives you hints like, hey, the prices are likely going to fall within the next 7 days, so you don't want to book just yet. I don't know where they're getting this information from, and I actually don't think it's been too accurate for me at least. But if you have nothing else to go on, this should just at least help you be patient and wait. Because the more patient you are and the more you wait, the cheaper the flights are going to get. And when you do get that flight that's under $1,000 for a nonstop round trip flight, go and book it, man. Like, you earned it. Like, doing all this research and stuff like that, it's awesome, especially when you get the bragging rights for it. And you're just like, what are you talking about? Like, when I went to Japan, I spent like $850 on nonstop round trip tickets to go. Like, it's cheap. And instead of paying what it is now, $1,815, that's absolutely ridiculous. I wouldn't pay that much. So these are two really great tools. There's of course many other websites out there, but these are the two I've used in the past to actually kind of like get myself where I need to. Google Flights obviously has changed a lot over the past couple of years, so this website's become extremely handy to kind of see a breakdown. But Kayak's been actually the best for me for pricing, and as you can see, it is actually indeed cheaper than Google. Last year, I actually did use this website though, and I do want to kind of give them a shout out for a couple reasons. Student Universe is a website that is dedicated to getting students that are in colleges really cheap flights internationally, and I think even nationally, they actually do a pretty good job. So I've booked using this website last year because I'm still a student in college. So I did Chicago to Tokyo on the dates that we saw before. And we can see kind of a breakdown of some of the flights here. Now, all these have one stop, so let's say I want to do a nonstop flights. Let's go ahead and click these out. So $1,868. It's about the same as Kayak. It's a little bit more expensive. But the nice thing about Student Universe is two things. One is you can see it says a major airline, and it doesn't show you what this flight actually is. if you actually log in and become a member of this website, it actually does show you some really, really great deals that it actually is not showing me right now. So if I actually was logged in, I could possibly show you some of it. And then also another thing that they do, they have awesome coupons. As you can see on the screen here, save an extra $40 on flights to and from Asia. And then this is the coupon code right here. So they have coupon email blasts and stuff like that that go out all the time. I think one time when I booked, I think I saved $80 or something like that last year. So it was definitely worth it in the end, actually booking through this website, because I was on Kayak and I was like, oh, the flight's like about $1,000, and then I went on Student Universe and it was a little bit cheaper. It was like $40 cheaper maybe, and then I used a coupon code and it made it like almost $100 cheaper all around. So if you're a student and you're still in college, Student Universe is actually a great website to use. And then I want to talk about one last website here, and I call this the website for the lazy, because this website pretty much does all the work for you, and that's going to be Scott's Cheap Flights, scottscheapflights.com. I was a member of this website. Actually, they have like a 30-day money-back guarantee, and actually last year when I joined it, within like the first 2 weeks of me being part of Scott's Cheap Flights, the email blast and stuff like that, I found a cheap flight to Japan on my own using Student Universe. So I actually canceled. They gave me my money back, no questions asked. So I definitely do want to give them a shout out. What they do is awesome. So basically, you join this website. It costs I think $30 or $60 a year, something like that. You might be able to even do it for a shorter amount of time than that. But you join this website, and basically whenever Scott does his research and he finds a cheap flight to anywhere around the world, he sends out an email blast and says, hey, I got tickets to Paris, from New York City to Paris, for $260 round trip, and it's normally $900. Like, that is a steal. Like, $260 for a trip to Paris? Like, he's had insane deals on his website. Whenever basically he finds an error, or whenever he finds that airlines might have put down the flights for super duper cheap and they didn't mean to, he lets everyone know immediately on his emailing list. He sends out an email blast to everyone. So if you want to be part of this website and actually not have to do any work and have him do all the research for you, it's actually not such a bad way to go about it. Obviously, if you want to save money and you want to do it, spend a little time every day, like 5 or 10 minutes, just kind of like checking throughout the day on several websites like I do, this isn't necessary. But for those of us that, we don't have time to spend like checking websites 2 or 3 times a day, Scott's Cheap Flights is a pretty good alternative overall. So that brings me to my next point. So one thing that I do want to point out is I don't check these websites once a day. I don't like wake up in the morning and go, well, the flights weren't any cheaper today, that sucks. I check 2 or 3 times a day. So usually when I get up in the morning, I'll refresh these tabs and I'll take a look around and I'll be like, the pricing hasn't really changed that much, blah, 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 blah. Oh, there's cheap pricing right there. So, oh, wow, is that really true? There's no way. That must be a glitch. I was like, a $877 flight nonstop, but I think it's pulling up my my search from before for a one stop. But anyways, that's kind of weird. So, like, I don't just refresh this page once a day. I don't refresh this page just once a day. I don't refresh this page once a day. I usually will refresh each page once in the morning, and then when I get off of work, I'll come home. I'll do probably like 5-10 minutes of research to see if there was any dips in pricing and stuff like that. And then I check one final time before I go to bed. So I usually check websites 2 to 3 times a day until eventually I find a deal that's under $1,000, which is not whatever this is telling me here. So Google Flights may not be the most perfect solution, but Kayak has been pretty accurate and hasn't done me wrong in Student Universe as well. So hopefully this guide kind of helps you guys out a little bit, but please don't give up hope. Like, if you really want to go to Japan as much as I have, and you want to go as often as I have and stuff like that, don't let the pricing that you see now, these like $1,758 flights, the flights that are like over $2,000 here, don't let that distract you, and don't let that get in the way of your fun going to Japan, because eventually, if you really want it and you continue to doing your research and stuff like that, you are going to find the cheap flight, and then you're going to become the victor, and to the victor goes the spoils, and you're going to have just an amazing time in a brand new country you've never experienced before, and it's going to be like nothing you've experienced in your life. It's going to feel very rewarding when you go. So that's pretty much all the tips I'm going to give you guys for this video. If I think of anything else or any other websites that I think might be good, maybe I'll make a part 2 to this video. But I figured this was the #1 video that I'm going to probably be asked for, so what perfect one to start off with, you know? So there you guys go. That is my flight tips and a couple websites that I've used to book flights going to Japan. Hopefully that will help you out in the long run. Of course, things fluctuate. Things are bound to change. Gasoline prices could go skyrocketing, which means that, you know, fuel for the planes and stuff like that could skyrocket the pricing. There's so many different factors that can in long term affect pricing on all these websites and in the future. But for now, just keep at it. Check every single day, check multiple times a day, and really want it, and be flexible, and do your homework, do your research, and eventually you're gonna get that flight. So that's gonna be it for me today, guys. Once again, this is the Japan Man YouTube channel. I have plenty more content coming your way over the next few weeks, so definitely keep an eye on this channel. Don't forget to leave this video a like if it's helped you guys out or you think it's going to help you out in the long run. Subscribe to me if you haven't already. I know this is my first actual video on this channel, and there's not much yet in terms of content, but please give me a chance to kind of show you guys what I've experienced and kind of guide you guys to new and different ways to getting things set up for your trip to Japan. And as always, I will see you next time.